Hey guys, so we're going to continue our fairy tales. We're going to continue with the gnat and the lion, and we're going to talk about character depth. So how do we describe a character in depth instead of just saying there's a lion that's yellow or there's a gnat that flies around? How can we get the reader to know their actions, their thoughts? So if you remember, we know that everything about a character in a book typically comes from their words and actions. And we learned that from people, and we learn that from characters in fairy tales as well. So in this lesson, we're going to reread the fables and examine the characters' actions and dialogue in order to describe the characters. So I'm going to read this first paragraph from the Gnat and the Lion, and I want you to follow along with me as I go through it. So here we go. "Away with you, you vile insect," said a lion angrily to a gnat that buzzed around his head. But the gnat was not the least bit disturbed. So I know the lion is angry with the gnat because I see the word angrily, but there's something else in here. Oops, wrong color. There's something else in here that lets me know that he's angry too. I'm also surprised to see the word vile insect, which I see right here. So that means mean. Vile insect means mean. So the lion might not be very nice. So he might be angry, but it might also be he's just not a very nice lion to begin with. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to read our second paragraph and see if there's any words or phrases or descriptions there that give me more information about any of our characters. "Do you think," he said spitefully to the lion, "that I am afraid of you because they call you king?" So as I read paragraph 2, I learned that the gnat is not afraid of the lion at all. In fact, the gnat speaks spitefully to the lion. I know that spite means to hurt or annoy another, so I think the gnat does not like the lion because maybe the lion called him a vile insect. So I'm going to make a note of this by doing an underline. Said spitefully to the lion. And then I'm just also going to type over here on the side what I also think I know about the insect is that he might think he is vile. He just doesn't like the lion. So I'd also record that over here in my notes section. Now on to paragraph number 3. The next instant, the gnat flew at the lion and stung him sharply on the nose. This made the lion mad with rage, and he struck so fiercely at the gnat. But the lion only succeeded in tearing himself with his claws. Again and again, the gnat stung the lion. The lion was now roaring terribly. At last, worn out from the battle and covered with wounds that his own teeth and claws had made, the defeated lion gave up the fight. So I learned that the gnat repeatedly stings the lion. I'm going to put on my margins over here that the gnat attacks lion. So this shows that my initial idea that the gnat doesn't really like that lion. So now that I have some information here, I'm going to go to my chart and I'm going to be filling it out. So this is my character description chart. And I'm going to fill it out with some information from the bull. So it's going to be my next story. Because I kind of got an idea on the gnat and the lion. So now let's look at our next story. So it's a little bit shorter, so let's head on through to it. And we're going to fill our chart out along the way. The gnat and the bull. A tiny gnat flew over the meadow with much buzzing for so small a creature and settled on the tip of the horns of a mighty bull. After the gnat had rested a short time, he made ready to fly away. But before he left, he begged the bull's pardon for having used his horn as a resting place. He must be very glad to have me go. So right there, that's some words that I can record down. So I'm going to record that in my graphic organizer. Oops, that's not my graphic organizer. You must be very glad to have me go now. But we also had some actions that described our gnat as well. It said there is much buzzing, that he rests on the bull's horn, and he apologizes to the bull. So I'm also going to put those actions in here as well. And actually I'm going to put a bullet with them too. So we see there's 3 separate things. So what does this tell me about the gnat? That the gnat thinks that he's pretty important. It's always nice to apologize, but it doesn't sound like he's actually worried about being a nuisance. It sounds more to me like he thinks he's important, and so that's why he's apologizing, saying, "Hey, look at me." So that's my description, is the gnat thinks he's very important. So now let's keep going and see if there's anything that tells us about the bull. Mr. Bull. There we go. It's all the same to me, replied the bull. I did not even know you were there. So I'm going to take those words from the bull and I'm going to put them in my graphic organizer as well. So let's put that down. And then what actions does the bull have? Well, it's not even really an action, but I have this. He doesn't even realize that the gnat is there. So it's like an indifference. I didn't even know what was going on. You were that much of a non-bother to me. So how does this describe the bull? Well, it says that the bull's pretty easygoing. He doesn't make a big deal about anything, but also tells me that he's just not very observant. He doesn't really know what's going on around him. So in that short story, look at all this information I was able to pull out about the gnat and also able to pull out about the bull. So I want you, when you guys are doing your own fairy tales, I want you to think about how can you describe our characters by using words and actions. All right, guys, good job.